AITA for ghosting my wife after she confessed to cheating? My name is Brandon. I am 31 years old. I am an industrial refrigeration technician, the kind who wakes up at 5 in the morning to go check walk-in coolers in restaurants and warehouses. It is not a glamorous job, but it pays the bills, and I have never asked anyone for anything. That was something Vanessa, my ex-girlfriend, never quite understood. For her, who worked in the marketing department of a local brewery and spent her time in meetings with people in suits, my trade was something she mentioned with a weird tone when her friends asked her. He does refrigeration stuff and things like that, she would say, as if she were embarrassed to pronounce my full profession. But let me go back a little further, because this story did not begin the night I left. It started much earlier, in the little silences I learned to inhabit. Vanessa and I met at a local taco shop on McDowell Road. One of those places with plastic chairs and a fan that only moves the hot air from one side to the other. She was with some friends. I was alone after a long shift. She asked me for the salsa, and from there we did not stop talking for 3 hours. I liked that she laughed out loud, without covering her mouth, and that she could talk about anything without making it boring. I felt seen, and back then I did not know how rare and valuable that was. We were together for almost 4 years. We moved in together in the 3rd year to an apartment she picked in Maryvale because she liked the area. I paid 60% of the rent because I earned a bit more during high season, and she took care of the internet and utilities. At first, living together was good. We cooked together on Sundays, watched shows at night with the windows open so the evening breeze could come in, and sometimes we fell asleep on the couch by accident. They were simple days, the kind you do not appreciate until they disappear. I do not know exactly when it began to change. There was not an exact moment. It was more like a leaky roof. First a comment here, then a sigh there. Why do you always smell like grease when you arrive? Could not you wear something other than that faded t-shirt? It is just that sometimes I feel like you do not evolve, Brandon. She said that last sentence to me one night when I suggested going to dinner at the same restaurant where we had celebrated our anniversary. To her, repeating a place was a symptom of conformity. To me, it was nostalgia. We never agreed on that. Little by little her tone changed from impatience to something worse. Indifference. She stopped inviting me to gatherings with her coworkers. She stopped asking me how my day went. When I got home and told her something that had happened to me, she kept scrolling on her phone and answered with an that sounded hollow, like an echo inside an empty room. I started talking less, taking up less space, asking for less. I thought that if I made myself smaller, there would be fewer things to bother her. About 3 months before everything blew up, Vanessa started going out more often. First it was dinners with work friends, then it was networking events that ended at 1 in the morning. She dressed up differently for those outings. She wore a perfume I did not recognize on her, something sweet like vanilla with some citrus, and she did her eye makeup in a way she never used with me. When I asked her where she was going, she answered with that phrase that became her shield. Do not start, Brandon. Her phone habits changed too. She left it face down on all surfaces. She put a new password on it. One night when she went to the bathroom and her phone vibrated on the table, I caught a glimpse of a notification with a heart emoji and a name. Jared. I did not say anything. I stayed seated with my plate of tacos getting cold, feeling stupid for hoping it had an innocent explanation. The confrontation came on a Thursday. It was not planned. It was not dramatic. We were in the kitchen, her putting away some Walmart bags, me washing a pan. I asked her directly without raising my voice. Who is Jared? She stopped for a second with a pack of napkins in her hand. Then she kept putting things away as if she had not heard me. I repeated the question. A friend from work. Are you going to start with your insecurities already? I saw the notification. She leaned on the counter and looked at me with that expression I hated, the one that made me feel like I was the problem for asking. So, are you checking my phone now? How nice, Brandon. I did not check anything. I saw a notification. There is a difference. But arguing with Vanessa was like trying to catch water with your hands. I always ended up feeling wet and empty-handed. That night we slept with our backs to each other, with a couple feet of mattress between us that felt like an abyss. 2 more weeks passed. Jared's name never appeared in any notification again, but the outings continued. The new perfume continued, and the wall between us kept growing brick by brick. I slept poorly, arrived at work with bags under my eyes, and my co-workers asked if I was sick. My buddy Mike, who works with me and has known me since middle school, pulled me aside in the warehouse one day and told me bluntly, "Bro, you look like crap. What is going on?" I told him everything, not in detail, just the essentials. Mike stayed quiet for a moment, scratching the back of his neck, and then said something that stuck with me. "When someone makes you feel like you are crazy for noticing the obvious, you are not the one who is out of their mind." I did not answer, but I felt something loosen inside my chest, like a screw that had been over-tightened for months. The Friday that changed everything, Vanessa came home early from work. Weird. She poured herself a glass of water, sat on the kitchen stool, and looked at me in a way I did not recognize. It was not anger. It was not sadness. It was something more akin to resolute boredom, like when you finally decide to throw away some old shoes. "I need to tell you something, and I need you not to make a scene." I stood there with a towel in my hands. I felt the floor move slightly, like those small tremors you sometimes feel in Arizona and never know if they were real. "Yes, I am seeing Jared. It has been a while, and I am not going to leave him." She said it just like that, word for word, as if reading a voice note she had already rehearsed, without her voice trembling, without lowering her gaze, without the slightest sign that it was hard for her to say. "What I need is for you to accept it. Our relationship has to change. Mature people handle these things. Mature people, as if deceiving someone for months and then demanding they accept it was a sign of personal evolution." I stayed quiet for maybe 30 seconds. I know it was 30 because I could hear the kitchen wall clock, a round clock with a wooden frame she bought at Target that I always thought was ugly. Tick, tick, tick. Every second felt heavier than the last. Vanessa watched me, waiting for the reaction she had anticipated. Yelling, crying, begging, desperate questions, something that would give her material to confirm I was the unstable one. Instead, I said, "It is fine." She blinked twice. Fast. Right there I knew I had disarmed her. "It is fine." "Yes, it is fine." She smirked, as if she had won something. She got up, grabbed her bag, touched up her lipstick in the hallway mirror, and said, "I will be back later. Do not wait up for me." The door closed and the apartment was left in a dense silence, like the air before one of those storms that roll over the desert in August. I sat on the couch. I did not turn on the TV. I did not play music. I did not look for my phone. I just sat there listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the distant noise of traffic on the avenue. For the first time in months, my head was strangely clear. It was not peace. It was raw lucidity, like when you splash freezing water on your face and suddenly see everything with a sharpness that almost hurts. I went into the bedroom, opened the closet. Her clothes took up 3/4 of the space. Dresses, ironed blouses, heels and boxes, coats she wore twice a year. My side was a narrow strip of work shirts, 2 good pairs of pants, and a bunch of folded t-shirts on the top shelf. Looking at it like that, all together, told me more about our relationship than any conversation we could have had. I pulled out the big suitcase from under the bed. It was covered in dust and smelled of mothballs. Then I grabbed my work backpack, the one with a grease stain on the left pocket that never came out. I started folding my clothes calmly, shirts first, then pants, t-shirts rolled up the way my mom taught me when I left Globe at 18, socks in a ball, underwear stacked, everything methodical, everything peaceful. I was not throwing a tantrum. I was making a decision. While packing, I mentally cataloged what was mine in that apartment. The books on the nightstand, 6 or 7, nothing extraordinary. My extra charger, the portable fan I used when I worked in the southern warehouses, a small painting of a sunset in Globe that my sister Rachel gave me, my personal tools I kept in a box under the bathroom sink, the bottle of cologne Vanessa said smelled old, but which reminded me of my grandfather. The rest, the furniture, the dishes, the curtains, the framed travel photos she picked out, all of that was her world. I was just a tenant who paid more than half. At 11 at night, my phone vibrated. A message from her. "Jared and I are going to dinner at a new place. Do not wait up awake for me." Haha. The haha turned my stomach more than the confession itself. That lightness, that cruelty disguised as casualness. I did not reply. I finished packing at midnight. 2 suitcases, a backpack, a cardboard box with books and tools. That was it. 31 years of life compacted into luggage that fit in the trunk of my old Honda Civic. Before leaving, I searched the kitchen drawer, that drawer where everything that has no place accumulates. Used batteries, takeout menus, paper clips, a small religious candle that belonged to her mom. I found a pad of yellow sticky notes and a Wells Fargo pen. I wrote 4 words. Good luck with him. I peeled off the note and stuck it on the kitchen counter, right next to the coffee maker, where she stood every morning to make her coffee with almond milk. I grabbed my things, turned off the lights, locked the door, and left the key under the mat. The street air hit my face hot, humid, with that smell of asphalt and grilled food that Phoenix has at midnight. I put everything in the Honda Civic and drove 15 minutes to my sister Rachel's house in Ahwatukee. Rachel opened the door in her pajamas with her hair tied in a braid and a look of concern on her face. I did not have to explain much. She saw the suitcases, saw my face, and said, "Come in, I will make you some coffee right now." She did not ask me anything that night. She just put clean sheets on the sofa bed in her guest room. She left me an extra blanket and told me, "You are safe here, brother." I lay down staring at the ceiling, a ceiling I did not know. Without the familiar cracks of the Maryvale apartment, without the sound of the air conditioning that Vanessa always set too cold. And for the first time in months, I took a deep breath without feeling like I was taking up too much space. I slept poorly, but I slept. And in the early morning, between sleep and wakefulness, I heard Vanessa's voice in my head. Mature people handle these things. And I thought, yes, she is right. This is exactly what I did. The next day, at noon, the phone started ringing. First messages, "Where are you?" Then, "Really, did you leave? What is this?" Later, "Brandon, answer me." 5 missed calls in 40 minutes. Every message went up a degree in intensity, like water heating up on the stove. I let it boil on its own. I listened to the first voicemail, sitting in Rachel's kitchen, drinking a cup of Folgers coffee that tasted like comfort compared to the $10 organic coffee Vanessa used to buy. Her voice was not one of regret. It was of logistical panic. "Why did you take your things? Why is your side of the closet empty? Do not tell me you left because of that. Do not be ridiculous." Ridiculous. There it was, the word used by the people who hurt you to make you doubt your reaction. I waited 3 hours. Then I sent her a single message. "You told me to accept it." I accepted it my way. The 3 little dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, I cannot believe it. It was just physical. I did not think you would really leave. Just physical. As if that made it lesser. As if the hours of lies, the excuses, someone else's name on the phone screen could be erased with just that. That phrase confirmed to me that she never saw me as a partner with my own dignity. She saw me as a piece of furniture that only moves when you push it. That afternoon, Vanessa showed up at Rachel's house. I do not know how she found out the address. She probably asked a mutual friend. She knocked on the door insistently. Rachel opened it, and Vanessa walked in without asking for permission, with her arms crossed, and that clenched jaw she got when she felt the world was being unfair to her. "You made a fool of me." That was the first thing she said. Not, "Forgive me." Not, "I made a mistake." "You made a fool of me." As if the problem was that I left, not what she did. "We could have talked, Brandon. You did not have to leave like a coward in the night." Something about the word coward got a laugh out of me. Short, dry. That infuriated her even more. "Are you laughing, really? Are you laughing at me?" Rachel intervened from the kitchen door. "Hey, dial it back a bit. You are in my house." Vanessa looked at her as if she had just noticed she existed, and then turned back to me. People do not just leave like this. People talk, people negotiate. I looked at her and felt something I did not expect. Nothing. No anger, no sadness, no nostalgia. A neutral emptiness. Like looking at a white wall. And from that emptiness I told her, "You did not want to negotiate. You wanted me to accept it." I accepted leaving. She pressed her lips together. Her eyes got watery, but she did not cry. Vanessa never cried in front of others. She considered that a weakness. She muttered something that sounded like "unbelievable" and left, slamming the door so hard it made a little framed picture in the hallway tremble. Days passed. The silence settled around me like warm water, without Vanessa's acidic comments, without the constant tension of measuring every word before saying it, without the fear of doing something that would bother her. I discovered that I liked cooking without anyone criticizing how I chopped the onion. I discovered I could watch football on a Sunday without feeling guilty for not doing something more productive. I discovered that I could breathe. Vanessa did not give up easily. First came the logistical messages. "You took the laptop charger. You canceled Netflix. Seriously, Who is going to pay the internet share? I answered what was strictly necessary. Then came the emotional messages. Always in the early hours of the morning, always after her anger had passed. I cannot sleep. The apartment feels huge. Jared is not like you. He is immature. I think I made a mistake. I did not answer any of those. Not out of revenge, out of survival. One Saturday, I returned to the apartment to get the last box. She was not there, but the signs of her emotional mess were everywhere. Dirty dishes in the sink, clothes scattered in the living room, a half-empty bottle of wine on the dining table. I saw that the yellow sticky note was no longer on the counter, but my side of the closet was still empty. The bare hangers hung like skeletons of something that no longer existed. On the dining chair there was a men's hoodie that was not mine. Navy blue, size large, with a gym logo. I looked at it for a second feeling nothing and kept packing my books. I moved into a 500-square-foot apartment in Tempe, near work. 500 square feet of nothing of my own, a mattress on the floor, a folding table from Target, 2 chairs, and a shelf where I put my books and the painting of the globe sunset. It smelled like fresh paint and possibility. Rachel gave me some curtains, and Mike got me a used refrigerator from an acquaintance. It was little, but it was mine. Every corner was a decision I had made, not a concession someone had imposed on me. Weeks passed. Mutual friends started reaching out with cautious messages, testing the waters. Hey, did you hear that Vanessa is doing badly? She says she did not think you would leave for real. She says you overreacted. I let whatever version she wanted circulate. I had no energy to correct it. And the truth is that the people who mattered to me already knew what had happened. One weeknight, almost a month later, she called me. It was around 2 in the morning. I answered out of instinct, half asleep. She was crying. I had not heard her cry in the 4 years we were together. She said rushed things, that Jared had left the apartment after a fight, that she felt alone, that she could not believe her life had fallen apart like that she missed me, that I was the stable part. The stable part, not what she loved, not what she valued. The stable part, like a reliable home appliance. I listened without interrupting. When she finished, I told her, "You did not miss me while you thought I was not going to leave, Vanessa. You miss me now that I am gone." She hung up. The next morning I blocked her. It was not an act of rage. It was an act of emotional hygiene, like taking off a Band-Aid from a wound that is already closed. A month and a half later, I ran into her at a Circle K on Camelback Road. I was buying water and some chips after a service call. She was in line with a machine coffee. She looked different, not renewed, but worn out, with no makeup, her hair down unstraightened, a hoodie I did not recognize on her. Our eyes met, and there was a second where neither knew what to do. "Hi," she said, attempting a smile that did not reach her eyes. "Hi," I answered. "How are you?" "Good." And it was true. That threw her off. She looked at me as if searching for cracks, as if hoping to find misery beneath my calmness. "Are you really okay?" I nodded. She told me quickly, as if she needed to drop the information before regretting it. Jared had left her. He turned out to be jealous, controlling, and when he found out that she had been in a relationship while they started theirs, he told her he could not trust her. The irony so perfect it seemed scripted. "I did not value what I had," she said quietly, looking at the Circle K floor as if the tiles held answers. I did not argue. I did not comfort her. I felt no need to do so. I paid for my water, told her, "Take care, Vanessa," and I walked out to the street. The Phoenix sun was beating down hard as always, and the air smelled of grilled meat from the corner stand. I got into the Honda Civic and sat there for a moment with my hands on the steering wheel, feeling the rough texture of the hot plastic. I did not feel triumph. I did not feel sadness. I felt confirmation. My buddy Mike once told me that closure for something is not a conversation. It is the moment you stop needing one. I think he was right. Recently, Rachel told me that Vanessa wrote to her on Instagram. She told her that she had written a letter the night she found the empty closet and peeled my sticky note off the counter. A letter she never sent me, where she supposedly genuinely apologized, without excuses, without deflections, where she said she confused power with love and that she never imagined an "it is fine" could mean a goodbye. Rachel asked me if I wanted her to ask for the letter. I told her no, not because I did not care, but because it arrived late. Months earlier, I would have reread every word 1,000 times, looking for hidden meanings, asking myself if it was enough, if it was worth going back. But now those words were the final period of a chapter that was already closed. And you do not reopen a book just because someone writes a note in the margin after you have already returned it to the bookshelf. That night, I sat on the outside steps of my apartment in Tempe with a cold Bud Light and the noise of the neighbors having dinner with their windows open. Someone was playing country music in the distance. The alley dogs chased each other between the parked cars, and I thought about how endings do not always come with explosions. Sometimes they are silent decisions you make while the other person assumes you are going to stay. She told me to accept it, and I accepted it. I accepted that I deserved better. I left without yelling, without revenge, without speeches. I just packed my things. I left 4 words stuck on the counter and closed a door that had needed closing for months. Every now and then I noticed things she would have criticized. A t-shirt she would have said made me look sloppy. A George Strait song on the radio she would have changed, saying it was old-fashioned music. I smile when it happens, not because I miss her, but because I no longer need to edit myself to exist in peace. I found out she moved to a new apartment, a smaller place further south in the city. I hope she does well. Truly, I do not need her to suffer to feel better. That chapter already did what it had to do. When they asked me if I would have done anything differently, if I would have stayed to fight, to complain, to demand explanations, the answer is no. The most powerful thing I did in that entire relationship was to say, "It is fine," pack calmly while she was having dinner with someone else, and leave a message that did not beg, did not threaten, did not insult, just reality, in 4 yellow words stuck next to the coffee maker. She came home and found a half-empty closet because she assumed love was permanence without effort, that I would stay no matter how much she made me shrink. I did not stay, and what I learned from all this is the following. If someone tells you to accept being disrespected, believe them, but accept it your way, choosing yourself. You do not owe your endurance to anyone at the cost of your dignity. Sometimes the healthiest ending is the silent one. The one where you leave, do not look back, and finally make room for a life that does not demand you disappear inside it. Comment. Hey friends, I wanted to share a few thoughts after this story. One thing that stands out to me is the quiet power of self-respect. You never have to accept being treated in ways that hurt your heart. Learning to set firm boundaries can change everything for the better. Choosing your peace isn't giving up, it's growing up. I truly believe healing starts the moment we decide to stop shrinking ourselves. Take responsibility for the kind of love and life you allow into your world. Be kind to yourself while you figure it all out. Real strength shows up when we choose dignity over drama. I hope this reminds you that you deserve relationships that lift you up, not bring you down. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.